Now, as you heard that, keep in mind, the average person heard about half the sound we hear today. We listen to all the sound that's in our environment. And also, you can smell the smoke that comes over you. That's the famous black powder smoke. Now, our last demonstration of artillery will be the 12-pounder. Ready to fire.
Fort Ligonier Days is a public 3-day event held every year in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, to commemorate the historic Battle of Fort Ligonier during the French and Indian War on October 12, 1758. The 2008 festival was the 250th anniversary of the battle. People from all over the country come to this annual event and makes the small borough of Ligonier a large tourist attraction for many history buffs. The festival is host to much entertainment, including arts and crafts, live bands, fantastic food, a large parade, and an awesome 20-minute-long reenactment of the battle. and actors dress up as British, French, and Indians and give great insight into what colonial times were like.
I started in 1976. My friend had a Revolutionary War wedding. I was the best man, so there was an excuse to make a uniform.
Thank you again.
Then we joined a group from Indiana, PA, and they were the provincials with the green uniforms. And we've been doing it ever since. Now I play the regimental surgeon, and I just go around and take it easy and have pictures taken with the kids and enjoy myself. I get too old to get up there and run around with a gun.
Yeah.
I've been doing this now for about 5 years, reenacting throughout Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, a lot of different forts. Fort Ligonier is very historically important because it was on the Forbes Road, and it was a stopping off point, a staging point for many of the English armies as they headed towards Fort Duquesne, or once they had taken over Fort Duquesne, coming back from Fort Pittsburgh. So it played a very vital role in the winning of Western Pennsylvania, or the winning of Virginia, because at that time the two colonies were still fighting over who owned this part of the state.
On October 12, 1758, while the British fort was still under construction, French troops and their Indian allies attacked. The British were initially pushed back towards the fort until the main force counterattacked and drove the French and Indians off after 2 hours of intense fighting.
Now I'd like to ask audiences always, would you be willing to stand in line, all fire together? But if you look at the way the Indians are fighting, they of course had their own way of doing it, which was to use whatever cover there is. Now we bring them out into the open. They prefer fighting in the woods. The troops would prefer fighting in the open, not going into the woods.
The French forces attempted to attack again at nightfall, but were forced to retreat by mortar fire from the fort. The epic 20-minute reenactments of the battle is held several times during the festival and meant to show the strategical victory. By November 1758, 4,000 troops were encamped at the fort, making Ligonier the second largest community in Pennsylvania.
And we're ready to fire.
On November 25th, General John Forbes captured Fort Duquesne, which he named Pittsburgh, in honor of Secretary of State William Pitt. Forbes also named Loyal Hannah Fort Ligonier, after his superior, Sir John Ligonier, Commander-in-Chief in Great Britain. For the 250th anniversary, a distant relative of General Forbes was welcomed from Scotland as a guest speaker.
Dr. Lawrence John Forbes Keppie. And Dr. Keppie, his name for General Forbes, as he and I joked, he doesn't remember General Forbes, but he heard a lot about him.
I think it's about 7 generations down now. The General himself didn't have a family, he wasn't married and didn't have a family. Life was given to the army, but I'm descended from his elder brother. And about 7 generations, and also I'm a great-grandson of a couple, Arthur and Mary Forbes, who were invited in 1908 to come to Pittsburgh, invited by the city to participate in the 150th anniversary of the foundation of the town there. So here we are 100 years later, and it's me.
The Battle of Fort Ligonier is still celebrated and remembered every year, and as one enactor said about those who forget history,
they should all be taken out behind the woodshed and spanked. After all, the whole reason of Fort Ligonier Days is Fort Ligonier. If it weren't for the French and Indians and the battle and so forth, there wouldn't be a city here today. And it created history. It's the same thing they did down at Point. They forgot all about the history this year and had a bicycle race and I don't know what else, dumb stuff. But they sure missed it.